Om. पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय। ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। All of us are very blessed that thanks to technology we will be able to apply our minds to Bhagavad Geeta every Tuesday evening, going by Pacific time. And I am personally very delighted that in these classes we will cover the entire Bhagavad Gita. And let me right away say, this is not going to be a series for newcomers or beginners. They are welcome, but these classes will be geared for those who have already been into the study of Bhagavad Gita for 20, 30 or even more years. It is to fulfill the wish of a number of people who have heard quite a bit of Bhagavad Gita, but who wish to study properly, study in a systematic manner. Therefore, with prostrations, with reverential pranams to all the great acharyas, Sri Madhvacharya, Sri Ramanujacharya, Sri Shankaracharya, and some more who made Bhagavad Gita very clear to all the students with their great commentaries. We begin these classes on this day, July 7, Tuesday 2020, and we will primarily draw from the commentary of Adi Shankara, where I happen to be trained in a reasonably extensive manner. Bhagavad Gita has been helpful to humanity for thousands of years. You and I also, who are not new to Bhagavad Gita, find that it is a source of continued inspiration. It's an amazing mirror to our own life. We find on so many occasions, both when we rise and when we fall, a line from Gita comes to our mind and we say, oh my God, this is what Lord Krishna must have meant. This happened to me. It is called all the time giving to us a better understanding of this very great mystery called human life. Therefore, Gita is a guide to living. Gita is to help us speed up understanding our shortcomings as well as strengths, to understanding our swadharma, where we belong, where our greatest good lies, and above all, it is the most excellent guide for us to harmonize our existence with this universal existence, harmonize our being with God, with the Supreme Truth. I'm saying this for it is very clear to all of us that in all our suffering, in all our sorrow, in all our conflict, there may be a little factors of from outside, but our own inability to adjust, our own inability to come upon healthy outlooks is the main factor. Otherwise, wherever we are, in a village or in a big city, whether we are uneducated or educated, whether we are living in an independent country or a country even now in the control of some foreign powers, none of those should matter. When our spiritual vision becomes extremely good, wherever we are, we will be able to live happily, and what is more, we will be able to contribute immensely to the society around us. In the light of all this, I must now get down to Bhagavad Gita, and in this first class, I will take up certain very nice points that Adi Shankara has supplied in his commentary. In fact, before he touches even the first shloka of Bhagavad Gita, he makes a few deep comments. He gives to us a general picture of what Bhagavad Gita is all about. As already I said, this is for those who are familiar with Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, without any hesitation, I will be sprinkling some Sanskrit here and there, for I trust that maximum participants will in fact appreciate the original sentences, the original phrases, the words used by an extraordinary luminary like Sri Adi Shankaracharya. Right in the beginning, Bhagavan Bhashyakara, as we call him, offers his pranams to Mahavishnu, Sriman Narayana, and here is a shloka. Narayanah paro vyaktat avyak andam avyakta sambhavam. Narayana paro vyaktat andam avyakta sambhavam. Andasyantastvime lokaha saptadvipacha medini. Taking the name Narayana as the very first word in his bhashya on Bhagavad Gita, Sri Shankaracharya says, in this entire creation, we believe that behind and beneath what is visible, what is manifest, what we are able to perceive, there is something called unperceived, unmanifest, invisible, that is called avyakta. And Sriman Narayana is above even that avyakta. Narayana paro. avyakta is the first sentence in this amazing bhashya that, that really may be called an immortal classic that will always stand the test of time. Narayanaha paraha avyaktadapi. And now, from that Mahavishnu, who is a principle, tattva, that our mind cannot really fathom, from Mahavishnu, Sri Shankaracharya, then comes to this creation. If Sriman Narayana is above Avyakta, now we will get back to him. This Avyakta is the womb, is the source for this whole Brahmanda. Andam Avyakta Sambhavam. And from the Brahmanda, we come to the Lokaha, various realms where jivas, living individuals, go through their experiences are called the Lokaha. Bhuloka is just one of them. This is the grand vision of the rishis, of the champions of Sanatana Dharma. Narayana on top, then comes Avyakta, then comes this Brahmanda, and in the Brahmanda there are many lokas, and then in the last quarter of this shloka, Bhashyakara says, Saptadvipacha Medini. Medini means the earth. All of us are living on this earth. This earth, Medini, with 7 islands. So these 7 islands more or less correspond to the continents that we have in modern geography. Whether it is the same or a little different doesn't matter, but the earth is essentially a number of large land masses which are covered by ocean. Therefore, that is called an island. सप्तद्वीपाच मेदिनी अत्र लोकेषु अस्ति लोकाः अंडे ब्रह्मांडे santi, and this brahmanda arose from the avyakta, and the avyakta is below Sriman Narayana. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Shri Krishna Paramatmane Namaha. So Narayana is Bhagavan. Shankara says, Sa Bhagavan Srashtva idam jagat tasya cha sthitim chikirshuhu marityadin agre srashtva prajapatin. That Sriman Narayana, out of his supreme infinite intelligence, created this entire universe, says Sri Shankara. Now, once you create anything, it has to run. It is said that many times it's not so difficult to launch a project or start an organization, but to run it in an effective manner is the main challenge. Sa Bhagavan idam jagat srashtva tasya sthitim chikirshuhu. In order to maintain it, he created Marichi Adin Prajapatin Srashtva. He created Prajapatis, Prajanam Patayaha. Marichi Adin. In fact, in the very first chapter of Manusmriti, we get a list of 10 Prajapatis, among whom Marichi is the foremost. So we have 35th shloka of Manusmriti, chapter 1, saying, Marichim Atri Angirasau Pulastyam Pulaham Kratum Prachetasam Vasishtancha Bhragum Naradamevacha. Starting with Marichi, then going ahead with Atri and Angirasa, Pulastya, Pulaha and Kratu, and the last 4 being Prachetasa, Vasishta, Bhrigu, and the last of all is our favorite Narada. Naradancha Patin Prajanam Asrajam Maharshin Adito Dasha is the line from Manusmriti. So Marichadin Prajapatin Srishtva, now they are the maintenance engineers or whatever officials. So Marichadin Srishtva, but what is their mandate? Pravritti Lakshanam Dharmam Grahayamasa. Vedoktam. Wonderful, each word provides for a lot of contemplation. The entire software, the operating software for this created universe is in the Veda. Vedoktam, and that has a lot of things in it. And these divine beings, the 10 Prajapatis, have to draw from the Vedas those portions which are required to, as we these days say, run the show. To run the show, you need pravritti lakshana dharma. Everything is held in place by dharma. Dharanat dharma. If you want to keep something running, you need pravritti lakshana dharma. Pravritti means going out. Pravritti means doing what needs to be done. Pravritti means gathering the resources and execute the plan. Pravritti lakshanam dharmam grahayamasa. He taught them or he let them know. Vedoktam. Please see Adi Shankara's deep devotion and commitment to the Lord to begin with and to the Vedas. The very first sentence after the Mangala Shloka brings the word Vedoktam. Then Vedas have a twofold wisdom. One is pravritti, how to get going, right? And another is the advanced theme, nivritti, how at the right time, at the right point of time, every one of us turns inward. First we are curious, first we have many vasanas, many urges, many aspirations. We don't let the whole world stop us from doing what we want to do. We will find some way and do what our urges require us to do. But the same we, at another point of time, say, I have seen enough. Been there, done that, seen that. There is some expression like that. You tell modern people, oh, are you coming with us to Niagara Falls? They have seen it all. They say, oh, been there, done that. How many? 3 times I have gone there. I am no more interested in joining you. You go, enjoy. So, whether it is Niagara Falls or the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco or something else, somewhere else, anywhere in the world for that matter, been there, done that. Then, if you have been there, you have done that, you have seen it, what now? I want nivritti. Now I have begun to see that there is great peace, there is happiness waiting to be discovered inside me. I don't have to go to Grand Canyon. I don't have to stand before the Eiffel Tower. Or I don't need to see Taj Mahal. The news yesterday was they were to open Taj Mahal, but it is postponed, maybe for another 1 month or 2 months. But those who are into Nivritti would say, no problem. I anyhow don't intend to go. I have seen there. I have been there to Agra. Nivritti Lakshana Dharma also is part of Vedas. The Vedas is the complete wisdom. Those who may be a tiny minority admitted, those who wish to withdraw and realize the inner wealth, Atma Jnana, for them there is wisdom in the Vedas. Now the Marichi and 9 other rishis, Prajapatis, they are not qualified, or this is not their main field. They may have the competence, but they are very busy in the pravritti. Therefore, Adi Shankara beautifully says, Tataha anyanscha sanaka sanandanadin utpadya. He brings forth out of his supreme intelligence. It is all from jnana. Nothing else is required. From jnana. Yasya jnanamayam tapaha, says Mundaka-upanishad. The Supreme Being engages in a certain austerity, tapaha, which is nothing but jnanam, certain deliberation, and there you go. Everything comes forth. Utpadya. Who are the Sanaka Sanandana? They are called the four Kumaras. Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. They are wise beings. Even as they are very young, they have great wisdom, great vairagya. In the world, we find there are people who have vairagya. I know some sadhus who I envy them actually. You know, when we need some coffee, they say no, they don't want. When we are very eager to maybe have some, refreshment, they say no, I am not eating now. I envy. Wow, what vairagya! But when after some time we find their knowledge, they hardly have any knowledge. They have just trained themselves to do upavasa. They have trained themselves to sleep on the ground on the plain floor. They have trained themselves to live in such a simple way. For us, even one night like that would be difficult. But alas, they have not studied the Shastras. Their mind is not open to the Shastra Vaibhava. And then there are many of us who love to study Shastras. But we have many miles to go in Vairagya. We have desire for some comfort, some pleasures, and so on. Sanaka Sanandana, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara were with full jnana and vairagya. God's direct creation, after all. Tatonyānscha Sanaka Sanandanādīn Utpadya Nivritti Lakshanam Dharmam Jnana Vairagya Lakshanam Grahayamasa, says Bhashyakara. Mahavishnu infused these four, Sanaka Sanandana, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. He infused them with Nivritti Lakshana Dharma, that entire wisdom with all the paraphernalia, whatever it be, that is necessary to effectively turn inward. Especially, it has to have jnana and vairagya. Both have to be together. And having said this, now there is a punchline from Adi Shankara. He says, Dvividho hi vedokto dharmaha. The entire Vedas concern with twofold wisdom. Dharma is difficult to translate. Call it wisdom, call it technology, call it guidance, call it certain laws, certain principles, call it a science. Dharma. Vividho hi vedokto dharmaha pravritti lakshanaha nivritti lakshanascha jagataha sthiti karanam. Long back when I had completed my studies in the ashram in Mumbai and returned to Bangalore, somebody close to me who had not met me for some time came upon me and said, Hey, what are you doing? Where were you? I said, I did a 2.5 year Vedanta program. I'm back here now. And he made a face. I said, What is wrong? What happened? What is this you did? If everybody goes to ashram like this, how will the world run? That was his question. So I'm sure all of you get this question sometimes. People ask you only, why are you attending all these Vedanta classes? If you go to this Vedanta, if everybody goes to Vedanta, how will the world run? Now, even if you make maximum publicity, it will only be a minuscule percentage that go to Nivritti, To say if everybody goes is a wrong clause. Nobody will go like that. Always nivritti is opted for by a very small number, and I may even add, among even those who go for nivritti, it is only a very small number who really get going. Others fall off by the wayside. Many others get distracted, diverted, and alas, that's sad story. But Vedas talk about both. For the majority, pravritti. For the minority, small minority, nivritti. These two together keep the world in place. Jagataha sthiti karanam. That man who asked me with much concern, what if everybody goes to this sannyasa? What will happen to the world? Should also ask another question. If nobody goes to nivritti, what will happen to the world? If all are extrovert, if all are after money and power and enjoyment and enhancement of their status, what will happen to the world? The world will collapse that way too. There is a need for a delicate balance between pravritti and nivritti. That is when the world will be in place. Praninam sakshad abhyudaya nishreyasa hetuhu yassa dharmaha. This dharma, twofold, is the hetu, is the cause for abhyudaya. Pravritti brings abhyudaya. You and I gain in health and wealth and status and knowledge and learning and so many ways. We feel our life is progressing well. We were nobody at one time. Today we are somebody, we say. All that is abhyudaya. In a healthy sense, abhyudaya. But then another dimension of human excellence is moksha. One rare soul is completely free from any anxiety or tension. That is nishreyasa. Shreyas itself means the good, as you know. Nishreyasa is nitaram, perhaps. Shreyas is extreme, the ultimate good is moksha. Praninam sakshad abhyudaya nishreyasa hetuhu yassa dharmaha brahmanadhyaihi varnibhihi ashramivischa shreyo arthibihi anuštiyamano dirghena kalena. Adi Shankara, probably in the 8th century AD, said these words. Living beings, of course, special focus is on humanity. Dirghena kalena, for a very long time, very difficult to say when it all started. For a very long time, the living beings, human beings especially, have been going for these two sciences. Vast majority go for pravritti, and then pravritti dharma is in fact that very difficult movement from sakama karma to nishkama karma. While it is karma, that transition from I, me, and my to service, to us, to we, to the other person, rather than being selfish. That's not an easy job. So, that pravritti dharma and then nivritti, a small number, from time immemorial, has been pursuing what we call the moksha marga, dirghena kalena. And Acharya Shankara, following very closely what Bhagavan Sri Krishna himself is going to say in the Gita, writes, Brahmanadhyaihi varnibhihi ashramibhischa. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Lord Krishna is going to say, right, in chapter 4, Chatur Varnyam Maya Srishtam Gunakarma Vibhagashaha Tasya Kartaram Apimam Vidhi Akartaram Avyayam. That shloka is going to come. So, Bhashyakara, in line with Bhagavan's words, says, four Varnas, Chatur Varnyam, like Brahmanas, and Ashramis, Brahmacharis, grahasthas, vanaprasthis, and sannyasis, four ashramis. All of them, as per their station, they have been struggling with this. This is the wisdom. Generations that went by also followed these two dharmas, one of the two at a time. Now you and I are struggling with pravritti and nivritti, and generations to come, for all time to come, will engage in pravritti if they are at that level, in nivritti if they are at the advanced level. Dirghena kalena anushtiyamanah. Now he makes an insightful comment. But Arjuna, or here to students of Gita, he says, "O students of Gita, as it so happens, everything has rise and fall. Great empires come and go. Great nations, which are so prosperous at one time, go through some decline. We see all this. Likewise, here too. Anushtatrunam kamodbhavat. A lot of people who were custodians of this Veda Dharma, alas, somewhere along the road, were overpowered by personal desires. Anushtratra is those who are observing these dharmas, kama udbhava, selfish desire or desire for enjoyment rose in them. Anushtatranam kamodbhavat. And when there is kama, as we generally say, kama arises, Rama takes a back seat for a while. He says, okay, let us see the tamasha. Rama goes to the back seat. Sri Shankara writes here, Kamodbhavat hiyamana viveka vijnana hetukena. Viveka, the ability to discriminate, to find out what is right and what is wrong, that goes down. Hiyamana, that is lost, that is forgotten. And what is more, adharmena abhibhuyamane dharme. Though they may have Vedas with them, they may have all kinds of great holy books with them, they may be teaching also, alas, in spite of that, they in their heart are overpowered by lust and anger and whatnot. Then what happens is adharmena dharme abhibhuyamane. Adharma gets an upper hand over dharma. Please see, those of you who have been familiar with Gita for years, once more we'll see Acharya Shankara is already hinting at the famous shloka again in chapter 4. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirbhavati bharata abhyuttanamadharmasya tadatmanam srajamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sanstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Beautiful two shlokas. And there is a forerunner here in the bhashya. Dharme abhibhuyamane adharmena pravardhamane cha adharme. As a result, evil rises, good goes down. Jagatah stitim paripipalaishuhu sa adikarta narayanakhyo vishnuhu. Taking us again back to Mahavishnu, that Supreme Lord, Narayana, Narayanakyo Vishnu, Adikarta, he was the forerunner, he was the one who Adi initially made all this. He decides, oh, things have to be restored to normalcy. Things are going haywire. So he wants to do paripalana. And the word paripipala ishuhu is someone who wants to do paripalana. What does he do? The sentence mainly talks about Krishna avatar. The last part of the sentence says, Devakyam Vasudevat Anshena Krishna kila sambabhuva. Sriman Narayana was born into Devaki from Vasudeva. Father was Vasudeva, mother was Devaki. Ansha, it is Mahavishnu's Ansha, and Krishna kila sambabhuva. So in the very first paragraph, he takes us to Sri Krishna. Krishna kila sambabhuva. And what is his game plan? Bhaumasya brahmano brahmanatvasya rakshanartham. He realizes that everybody has a role to play, no doubt, but Bhaumasya Brahmanaha, this Vedic wisdom, Brahma, which is Bhauma, on this Bhumi, on this earth, is best protected when those people who can study the Vedas and who can interpret rightly, who can support it further with living that wisdom, and that is the main function of the Varna called Brahmana. In modern times, whether it is by birth or by temperament, doesn't matter. In fact, other day I was hearing a lecture by a very learned speaker, and he made this comment. It really appealed to me. When the word Brahmana came, he said, Jati Brahmanas or the other Brahmanas. I said, what is he saying? Yes, because according to some, Brahmanatva is by Jati, even today, Orthodox people, Sringeri, Kanchi, Udupi, and Kashi, Puri, all these, Srirangam, all these old institutions, even today say, one becomes a Brahmin by birth. That is one camp. And then Ramakrishna Mission, Chinmaya Mission, and so many organizations emphasize Brahmanatva is not by birth, it is by qualities of mind. And this speaker, erudite speaker, from whom I keep learning, he says, fine, either way. Jatya Brahmanaha, Anyatha Brahmanaha. There are people in this world, always a certain percentage, who are passionate about studying the spiritual wisdom, and they are passionate about sharing it with others, and they are passionate about living that wisdom. They are not following or they are not pursuing other things which Kshatriyas would follow, Vaishyas would follow, Shudras would follow. Those things are secondary for them. Therefore, Bhaumasya Brahmanaha Brahmanatvasya Rakshanartham Devakya Vasudevadamshat Krishna Kila Sambhabhuva Brahmanatvasya Hirakshane Rakshitasyad Vaidiko Dharmaha. If these custodians of the Vedas, called Brahmanas, are protected, then Vedas are protected. If a particular subject has to be saved, you must provide facilities to those people who are into that subject, practicing, teaching, and so on. It's so everywhere, right? You want to protect some kind of art. You want to see that some kind of music doesn't go extinct. You want to see that some kind of martial arts is not going to die, should not become a piece of history. Then if there are even a few people, 20 here and 30 over there, who are into that art, into that music, into that martial arts, you call them and tell them, we'll provide you all the facilities. Don't worry about your yoga kshema. Do that art. Practice that martial arts, right? Likewise, Sri Krishna ensured that Vaidika Dharma is brought back to its luster by providing this Bhagavad Geeta. That is the whole idea. Gita becomes an inspiring step, inspiring piece of guidance for people to study everything, the entire Vedas in detail. ब्राह्मणत्वस्य हि रक्षणे रक्षितस्याद्वैदिको धर्मः तदधीनत्वात् वर्णाश्रमभेदानाम्. all the four varnas, Jatya Anyathava, all the four ashramas, Brahmacharya, Garhastya, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa, that is, I wouldn't say Jati, the ashramas, whether by external description or an internal description. See, somebody could be a grahastha externally, but a sannyasi internally. We find such people. Mahavairagya they have, and jnana also they have. Then there are some sannyasis externally, but when you look at them, they are so concerned with organizing their ashram, getting funds, and this and that. Then you say, this sannyasi is still having some grahastha tendencies. So, who are we to judge? But as I said, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudraha, Jatya Bhavanti by birth or by some other criterion. Same way, Brahmacharinaha, Grahastaha, Vanaprastaha, Sannyasinascha, Kadapi Bahya Rupena, from external description, Kadapi Antarika Rupena, Teshu Varneshu Bhavanti, Teshu Ashrameshu Bhavanti. Beautifully, we find this Avataranika. This is an introductory portion, and there is some more to go. I had said to some friends already, first two classes will be on the Avataranika of Adi Shankara. Now, talking of this great Bhagavan, Supreme Lord Mahavishnu, Adi Shankara says, Sacha Bhagavan Jnana Aishwarya Shakti Bala Virya Tejobhi Sada Sampannaha. This Supreme Lord, he does not undergo even an iota of any damage or decay, or in Sanskrit we have a word kshati. Kshati means some kind of loss. Akshati, akshata is unharmed. So, Sabhagavan Narayana Sada Sampannaha, always endowed in full measure with jnana, wisdom, aishwarya, lordship, shakti, power, bala, strength, virya, special brilliance, tejaha, special intelligence. These words have multiple meanings. Sri Adi Shankara calls Mahavishnu Bhagavan again and again, and I will not go much into it now, but in the Puranas and elsewhere, we have multiple definitions of Bhagavan. Bhagavatam has its own definition, and somewhere else it is said there are six kinds of bhagas. Bhaga means wealth, fortune, and one who has all the six kinds of bhaga, shad bhagaha asya santi iti bhagavan, sada sampannaha, and he from above controls this maya. Trigunatmikam swam mayam mula prakritim vashikritya. Prakriti is always obedient to Mahavishnu, the Supreme Lord. Trigunatmikam mayam vashikritya. Ajaha avyayaha bhutanam ishvaraha. Again, it's a echo of chapter 4. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishvaropi san. That expression comes over there. In the Avataranika, Sri Shankara says, Ajaha, though unborn, Avyayaha, changeless, Bhutana Mishwaraha, the Lord of, or the Master of all living beings, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhavopi San, though really in his true nature, he is eternal, he is ever pure, he is ever awake, ever liberated, yet when he comes as Sri Krishna in the avatara to the eyes of others, he seems to have the attributes of anybody else. So, Swamayaya, out of his inscrutable and unfathomable power called Maya, he appears as though having a body like you and I have, which has so many limitations as we know. Dehavaniva, Jataha Iva, as though born. So we celebrate Janmashtami. Next month, August, we will have Janmashtami. Jataha Iva, as though he is born. Loka Anugraham Kurvan Lakshyate. So in that avatar, he is found to be doing Loka Anugraha, blessing the entire creation. Swaprayojana abhave api bhuta anujighrakshaya Vaidika dharmadvayam Arjunaya upadidesha. It is this backdrop that we have to appreciate Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is an act of unimaginable grace, anugraha, having no benefit to himself. What does God lose or gain? But swaprayojana abhave api bhuta anujighrakshaya. You know the word anugraha. The desire to do anugraha is anujighraksha. Bhuta anujighrakshaya Vaidika dharma dvayam. In Gita, Sri Krishna teaches Arjuna both pravritti and nivritti. There is a lot said on karma yoga, as we know. That is pravritti dharma. I already said pravritti dharma is the transition, not easy, from sakama karma to nishkama karma. Bhuta anujigrikshaya Vaidika dharmadvayam Arjunaya. And what was the condition of Arjuna? Shoka moha maha udadhau nimagnaya. He was drowning, sinking in the big ocean. Maha udadi. What ocean was this? Shoka and moha. All of us are caught in this shoka moha. It's a vicious circle. Something hurts us, something pains us, and in the state of sorrow, we are unable to see things the way they are. That is moha. Erroneous perception rises from a state of sorrow. And once there is erroneous perception, moha, delusion, we make more mistakes that adds to our sorrow. Sorrow leads to wrong perception by making us do wrong things add to our sorrow. Shoka to moha, moha to shoka, shoka to moha, moha to shoka. Oh, we are in a terrible mess. We are in bad mood. We are unhappy. Even when we put up a smile, internally we are scheming. Alas, what a terrible condition. The Vedanta would say, you are ever free, ever pure, but in this spiritual ignorance, why are you going round and round between shoka and moha? Get out of sorrow and see things rightly. Shoka moha maha udadau nimagnaya arjunaya upadidesha gunadikaihi hi grihitaha. Why to Arjuna? Anybody on the roadside could have been picked up. That is the whole difference. When eminent people become the recipients of a extraordinary knowledge, it makes a big difference. There is a multiplier effect. Through somebody like Arjuna, the wisdom of Gita would then go to all. If Arjuna had been a teacher, he would have gone and taught. Arjuna wasn't a teacher, but the very fact that this wisdom was given to Arjuna, and Arjuna being a celebrity of his time, made everybody else, all the Brahmanas at that time who were into Shastras, pick it up and then sing the glory of Gita to no end. Buddha had given his teachings, but when it reached King Ashoka, oh, King Ashoka was like Arjuna, who received the wisdom of Buddhism some 3 generations, some 300 years later, I guess, after the Buddha. Never mind. Once somebody very eminent like King Ashoka turned Buddhist, it went to various countries, to the north of India, to the south of India like Sri Lanka, it spread. Therefore, the word eminent is reflected here in this word um, gunadhika, guna adhika. Eminent people have more of desirable, enviable qualities. So gunadikaihi hi grahitaha anushtiyamanascha. And if they not just receive but they practice also, that makes a huge difference. Dharmaha prachayam gamishyati. Then that dharma reaches large numbers of people. Tam dharmam bhagavata yathopadishtam Vedavyasaha. This conversation took place between Sri Krishna and Arjuna. All of us know. What was Vedavyasa's role? Between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, maybe it took place in a prose form, maybe with the yogic powers of Lord Sri Krishna. All this with no concession, without cutting corners, was transmitted to Arjuna just in 20 minutes, maybe just in 15 minutes. As you know, that's often a question people ask. How was this whole Gita taught to Arjuna? Even just to read it, we need 2 hours and something like that. So we say these two were very eminent people, and there was a yogic transmission. Even 5 minutes are enough. Fast data transfer, as they call in computer science. But Vedavyasa's role is mentioned here. Tam dharmam bhagavata upadishtam, taught by Sri Krishna Bhagavan before. Vedavyasaha sarvajnaha, the all-knowing Maharishi Vedavyasa, put together, and Adi Shankara explicitly says, Saptabhihi shloka shataihi. Shloka shata is 100 shlokas. Saptabhihi, 7 of them. So 700 shlokas. Tatam dharmam bhagavata yatopadishtam Vedavyasaha sarvajno bhagavan. Vedavyasa also is called Bhagavan, for he was also endowed with all those great glories. As we in tradition believe, Vishnu himself is Vyasa, Vyasa himself is Vishnu. Vedavyasaha Bhagavan, Gita Khyaihi. They are later called Gita. Akhya means called. Gita Khyaihi, Saptabihi Shlokan Sataihi, Upanibabandha. See, Upanibandha is the noun, Upanibabandha is the verb. He put them together. He arranged in poetic form. What is explicit here is 700. There are some versions that are around once in a while we come across. No, Bhagavad Gita had originally 1200 shlokas, they say. Well, some places, maybe some people added a number of other shlokas and made them 1200, maybe somewhere else 1000, and so on. But going by Shankara Bhashya, the Gita had 700 shlokas. Even the book some of you have in your hands may have 701. That is because in the 13th chapter, an additional shloka is found making Arjuna's question. Arjuna asks a question, that is one shloka. That is not found in a whole lot of other versions. The essential version is 700 shlokas. We have made a beginning, and in these YouTube sessions, now you are welcome to all. We have made a good beginning. All Sri Krishna's grace. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We'll meet again next Tuesday evening, California time. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.